Hey everyone, my name is Lincoln. I am the product manager for Coinbase's AgentKit. Today I'll be talking a little bit about where agents go from here. It's awesome going last because I got to watch everyone go before me and just to say little bits and pieces of things that I'm also believing in and watching in this space, which is a huge relief that I don't come up here and say something completely different. But basically what I'll be going through is kind of the state of agents currently, where do agents go from here, sort of how I'm thinking about AgentKit's role within this space, where does AgentKit go from here, and then a little bit of the things that we're thinking about, leave you with some open research questions to talk about, debate over our happy hour. On-chain AI agents, I think, are three of the biggest buzzwords of the past decade, and we've already seen with the massive growth that agents have had over the past, 4 months, that it clearly isn't slowing down anytime soon. The crypto AI agent landscape already is absolutely massive. There's a million different projects here and a million more coming out every single day, all of them with some sort of piece of the pie that they're trying to solve. Ultimately, probably 10% of the things that you see here will make it, another 10% that aren't on this slide as well. So figuring out exactly how to derive signal from noise in this market has been incredibly difficult. And AI has been fast moving, crypto's been fast moving, put them together, and it's just an exponential increase in change in rapid movement. This is a fun chart of showing the market cap of individual AI agents while also highlighting the market count. I wish it got a little bit further back when it was like literally zero, probably 2 months before this. But I think this is where things are going to go. I had a little bit of fun with the squiggly line function on Google Slides, but I ultimately see agents increasing exponentially from here. And then the market cap of individual agents, like, yeah, sure, maybe it goes up a little bit because speculation, whatever, but ultimately trailing towards zero. And I'll go in for a little bit of the reasons why later on in this talk, but to alleviate some of your concerns right now, no, I don't think the AI agent meta is going anywhere. I just think the people who are going to be deriving value from this is different than an individual agent that you can speculate on. So from here, I think we're going to see a very strong commoditization of agent creation, where either everyone gets an agent or everyone has access to an agent that can do things on their behalf. Whether that's an agent where you have some sort of human assistant or human in the loop or an autonomous agent, I don't think matters necessarily. It's more so about the idea that all of these services are going to increasingly be commoditized because they provide so much value. I really think that agents are going to be the way that we bring a billion people to start interacting on chain. Viewing the LLM as a sort of translator from natural language intent into an on-chain interaction is cool. And you can think about how many different use cases as an advanced crypto user you could get if you didn't have to worry about manually inputting things for something like LP management, and you could instead just tell an agent to do it for you. Where it gets even crazier is when you start to think about the implications for somebody who has no idea what's going on in crypto, and they can quite literally deposit money with an agent, tell that agent to just make them money, and all of the other stuff is completely abstracted away. Those types of use cases, while primarily financial right now, because that's the easiest thing to reason about, are generally the direction I think agents are going to go. The second area that I think agents are going to sort of trend in is the big boys. You're kind of enjoying the fun. We've seen this already a little bit with OpenAI's Operator, Claude's MCP, and all of these different massive big tech companies starting to talk more and more about AI agents. NVIDIA calls them a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. Every big tech company has a framework coming out right now. And while I still think there's absolutely value in some of the more crypto-centric frameworks, I feel as if these new agent frameworks are created by OpenAI, for example, and they are open source, it's going to be significantly better than the ones that we've seen thus far today. And it's going to have the backing of billions of dollars of research and people who have been thinking about this problem for a lot longer than the crypto space. And this might be one of the situations where we just need to acclimate to what they're bringing into the market instead of trying to create our own thing. The last piece, and this one I'm kind of biased on, but generally the idea that on-chain interactions become more and more critical. In the human in the loop case, I could buy the argument that you can get away with a Stripe API or a virtual debit card or something like that as the agent's primary form of financial interaction. But that being said, in the fully autonomous agent's case, I think crypto, and specifically stablecoins, have a massive, massive right to win. Generally, the way that I view this shaking out is that you're going to have agents that are pushing the boundaries in some sort of way. They're going to be experimental. They're going to be doing things that maybe it's OpenAI, maybe it's Stripe, maybe it's Visa, doesn't want their APIs associated with, and they're going to start shutting down agents. In the same way that we've seen L2s and blockchains sort of decentralize as needed while still having massive efficiency improvements, I think that's where we are in the AI space right now, where you have it hosted on AWS and OpenAI because it just works. But as soon as we start to do things that get a little bit shaky in that regard in terms of what OpenAI and AWS are comfortable hosting, whether that be something super malicious or just generally like creating a securities-esque-like thing or a DAO or all these different use cases, I think the on-chain piece will become more and more prevalent. So with that, a little bit about Coinbase Developer Platform and how we're thinking about this. Basically, the idea is we want to make it as simple as possible for anyone to build whatever they want on-chain, whether you're a seasoned crypto developer or just want some sort of abstracted payment rail to use. Super easy to do. AgentKit is our toolkit for giving every AI agent access to a crypto wallet. The idea is, regardless of what model it uses, what framework, doesn't matter, your agent get a seamless plug-and-play experience with on-chain interactions and have access to this payment rail that can send money for pretty much free instantly anywhere in the world. Reasons for this I've already mentioned. It's possible to give AI ownership of a bank account. The idea here just being you need some sort of internet native permissionless rails for doing all these cool things. In the role within that massive diagram I have here, once again, I like the little squiggly lines on Google Slides, but it goes somewhere in between the framework layer and sort of the training or inference layer. Basically just a super easy way to plug in directly wherever you need those crypto wallet capabilities to come into play. Why does it exist? Like I said, I think there's going to be much more humans than there are agents on chain. And the reason that we get this basically Trojan horse of on-chain interactions through agents is because it's so abstracted. I think this is true for a lot of other areas as well. I imagine something similar is going to happen with stablecoins, for example. Right now, the business proposition for a merchant to start accepting stablecoins is fairly slim. The idea is that maybe they'll have some new users come in who want to use stablecoins. Maybe it adds up to like $100 of volume per month, and then it's what, a 2% fee that they're saving, something like that. It's cool, but it's not going to move the needle. What I think will is agents that are interacting. Maybe they're connected to VisaNet as it stands in the beginning, and over time you start to get this recurring stream of revenue come in for these businesses through agents playing around with agentic commerce. What if 1 to 2% of DoorDash's purchases, for example, start coming from agents? Then you can go to DoorDash and you can say, hey, without doing anything, without changing any of your user behavior, you can flip a switch, and all of these agents that right now are taking stablecoins to VisaNet can go straight from stablecoin to your business and save you X amount of revenue instantly. I think that is a much more compelling use case for these types of agents than using stablecoins directly or trying to influence user behavior to pay for things or to start bringing stablecoins into their lives when Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, all these are already a thing. Fast and free payment rails for the agents as well, I think is a particularly interesting value proposition, especially thinking about how you capture AI developers or traditional developers. They don't care about DeFi, they don't care about all of these things. That's been proven by the fact that AI came out, or at least the most recent wave of AI came out after crypto, and we're still seeing 10 times as many developers and 10 times as much investor interest in the space. What you can get them with, though, is the idea that their AI agent can now send money anywhere in the world, pretty much for free, and do it all on rails that don't require them to have any specific API access or anything that could eventually shut them down. Whether or not this connects to existing shopping payment rails remains to be seen. Obviously, I think it'll happen at first, but ultimately the idea that that agent can have like an internet-native bank account on the internet and then plug into these existing systems as they need, I think is a really powerful idea. So where do we go from here? AgentKit's role in this is trying to understand exactly how we can solve all the different problems that somebody needs to interact on chain. Smart contract deployments, which I think is a particularly interesting one. The AI crypto report by the Coinbase Ventures team mentioned that smart contracts are going to eventually be mostly written by AIs, resulting in a Cambrian explosion of the types of things that we can do on chain. I absolutely believe that's true. Though models aren't necessarily there yet, and there's a lot of existing surrounding infrastructure pieces to get us to the point where agents can start to do these things for us in a much more seamless manner. The rails are being laid for this to be the future that we start to see. Exporting external wallet connections, boring, better wallet infrastructure, which I think is a pretty interesting topic in and of itself, is how do you serve these agents with the most valuable and most pertinent infrastructure that they might need. Agents have different needs than humans, obviously. We'll get to that in a second. And yeah, just facilitate stablecoin-based agentic commerce. So looking ahead a little bit, I fully believe, like I already said, agents will be the primary transactors on chain. AI will begin to start to permeate into robots, and these robots are also going to want to have some sort of way to transact or interact. Some of the Coinbase developer teams sent me like a robot dog the other day and asked me to give it like crypto capabilities. So I'm still figuring out exactly what that means, but I'm pretty excited to find out. So that'll be at ETH Denver. Stay tuned for that. Ultimately, too, we're going to have to start thinking about as well, how do you start to decentralize the stack in a progressive manner? My belief is that in the same way that you have L2 starting with these centralized sequencers and a fairly centralized setup, you're going to see the same evolution within agents where we do have this setup right now, and we're going to evolve into things that are more decentralized as we need it. But what exactly that means and where exactly that comes into play remains to be seen. And lastly, I think the multi-agent swarm is going to become more and more commonplace. We've already seen limitations come in with how many actions we can give a single agent. So maybe it's going to be one orchestrator agent that can sort of call other agents. Maybe it's that every website has an agent, and then you call that agent to, instead of scraping the website, you can just simply get what you need from there, kind of like a new version of an API. A lot of different interesting things, and with how fast the space moves, 99% of this will probably be wrong, but it's fun to think about anyways. So with that, I'll conclude with some of our open research questions that I've been thinking about and would love to continue thinking about. One, I already kind of mentioned this. What is the best decentralized infrastructure stack to support agents? How deep do you need to go before these agents are capable of doing things fully autonomously? How much do you want to be decentralized versus what can you get away with having centralized solutions for? Another one, which I found to be surprisingly large, but I guess that's because I'm a little bit biased, is that there's a lack of trust between users and agents, especially when you're giving agents access to real-world funds. A lot of people balk at the idea of giving their agents any amount of money. So what are the guardrails, policy engines, and just proof that we can give to people that these systems are safe to use? It only takes one crash of a Tesla car in self-driving mode before it makes the news and everyone goes crazy. Even if it is statistically safer, I imagine the same thing is going to be true with agents, but at an exponentially larger scale. And these are problems we're going to be facing for the next decade, if not more. The wallet endgame, I think, is another pretty interesting piece here. We've already seen pushback from developers who are integrating server-side programmatic wallets because they don't want to be custodying all of their users' funds. So is there some sort of solution where you can have a smart wallet and a user can use a session key, basically delegating their a certain action that you can take on their wallet to the agent? And does that alleviate the custody concerns enough for users to continue to want to use these agents and for developers to surface them to end users? All of these are sort of open questions that we're exploring. And then lastly, what are the larger consequences of agents with crypto rails? I think it's very easy to see all of the things that we talked about how the low-hanging fruits that Jaws mentioned around easier DeFi, easier natural language interfaces, all that stuff. But what in retrospect is going to be a really obvious takeaway that we don't see right now of completely abstracting away any need to know anything about crypto, giving agents access, or really just programs in general for the first time, full autonomy over the ability to send value anywhere in the world. And where will they go with that in the directions that we don't necessarily see right now? So with that, I've got 3 cool examples of food for thought, no pun intended. Stuff like food to your door, decentralized compute, and robot dogs with wallets. So with that, yeah, thank you all for listening to me. Here's the links to our QR codes if you're interested. Happy to take any questions.